Alrighty, hello, welcome to my channel. This channel's for educational purposes, and we check into all kinds of stuff that hopefully we can impart to you, and it'll be unique in that give you stuff that you haven't thought of before, things that have been suppressed, things that the powers that be or some powers that be don't want you to know anything about. And there's a lot of it out there. A lot of people have spent their whole life working on things and have never been recognized for what they've done. But they did some really great stuff. And I've kind of made it my business to examine that stuff. And this is a segment that we have that is called Your Blind Side. And this is an attempt to protect the the blind side of the info warriors who are doing their digs, but kind of are stuck in doing the 20th and 21st century digs and not so much going back any further. Um, Yesterday, I read from uh, this book called Creating Christ, and this is by James Valiant, and can't remember this guy's name, the other author. Um, and this is their argument that the Gospels, um, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, were actually written by the Romans as a psychological operation against the Jews. This is one of at least 10 books that I can think of that make the same argument from different angles. And let's see, I'm going to be starting here on part 3, Roman Messiahs. The parallels between early Christianity and the imperial cult of the Flavians already seem undeniable. The Flavians were the dynasty of emperors, Roman emperors, Vespasian and his two sons, Titus and Domitian, that were in charge of the Roman Empire from 69 until 96 AD. They wrote the Gospels and backdated the story by 40 plus years. And then they wrote a history of a war that they fought against the Jews. The purpose of the Gospels was really to divert the Jews. The Jews were waiting from the Old Testament prophecies, were waiting on a Messiah. And this Messiah was a warrior, a military commander who was going to free the Jews from the colonial power, in this case, the Romans. And the Messiah that the Jews were waiting for was one who was 100% thoroughly human. Not a god, but just another Jewish hero. But definitely not God. That was anathema to the Jews. The Jews didn't, that was a pagan idea, is the man God that is, and the story of Jesus fits in with the pagan paradigm on so many different fronts. But it's basically just a formula or a cookie cutter type of storyline. The Son of God comes down and incarnates in person on earth and performs miracles and wonders and healings and imparts wisdom, and then gets unfairly um, executed and goes back up to heaven. And this is countless pagan myths uh, recount the same template as the Jesus story. And they recount the same template centuries before the story of Jesus. So the story of Jesus is derivative of these pagan myths. Uh, so I've already read one sentence of this book before I burst into a diatribe. But in the case of Christians, fish and anchor symbology was in part chosen to celebrate Jesus' deeds and miracles on the Sea of Galilee. And again, um, as I mentioned yesterday, the symbol of the cross is not a primordial symbol for the Christians. This is a symbol that the Christians rarely, rarely used until maybe the year 1000. Uh, they did use it more regularly after the early fourth century, when Emperor Constantine of the Romans um, kind of staged a false flag in uh, in Judea, and his mother said that she legitimately found the real cross there, and so that boosted the visibility of the cross. But prior to that, for the whole first, second, and third centuries AD, the Christians used a fish. And usually it was a dolphin, and it was wrapped around an anchor. Eventually, the anchor changed to a cross, and the fish changed to a human. But this is all, again, totally anathema to the Jewish sensibility of strictures against graven images. Um, the cross, not so much the anchor. Once you put the fish with the anchor, that becomes a big problem, though. So anyway, in the case of the Roman Emperor Titus, the dolphin and anchor motif appears to have been chosen in part to celebrate his miraculous naval victories on the same body of water. So the point here is that the Roman Emperor Titus used exactly the same dolphin and anchor symbolism that the early Christians used. Why would the early Christians choose the same symbols that the Roman emperor is using and had been using on his coins? Um, so now it says that, like Jesus, Titus drove demons into the sea at Galilee. And this is the first kind of episode of the parallels in the life of Titus and the life of Jesus. The work of Josephus, War of the Jews, and Josephus was a member of the Flavian dynasty. He was an adopted family member of the Flavians and lived at Caesar's palace the last 30 years of his life or whatever, and he was one of the court historians. He wrote 7 volumes of War of the Jews, and in the story he describes Titus's military campaign against the Jews in Jerusalem, or in Judea in general. And if you reconstruct Titus's military campaign, what you have done is you have reconstructed Jesus's ministry. They both um, do exactly the same thing in the same order. They go to the same locations and they participate in parallel events at each location. In the military campaign of Titus and the parallel ministry of Jesus in Judea. So the first event here is on the Sea of Galilee, where um, Jesus meets Simon and Andrew on the fishing boat. I believe it's Simon and Andrew on the fishing boat, and says, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And this is on the Sea of Galilee, and which is really a lake. And in War of the Jews, Titus is fighting a battle against the Jews on the lake, and the Jews' boats tip over, and they end up in the water. And Titus tells his men to grab their spears and nets, and when the Jews lift their head above the water, to take them out and bring them in. And so Titus is literally telling his men to become fishers of men in kind of the most dark, insulting way to the Jews. The New Testament is profoundly anti-Semitic. And I mean, I'm not, I've got my own problems with Judaism. The Old Testament is a whole different ball of wax, but it's equally as um, misunderstood. But yeah, so the Romans here are equating the Jews with fish as an insult, and so um, you know then they construct this narrative where Titus is literally telling his men to become fishers of men. And that is the pattern that Joseph Atwill calls the Flavian signature. Every place that Titus goes, Jesus goes. And they especially and they go there in the same order, especially if you reckon it from the book of Luke. They go to each location at the same order, in the same order, and at each location, they participate in parallel events, just like this: the fishers of men uh, in the Gospels, and Titus instructing his men to be fishers of men in Josephus. And so that is the pattern. And then if you date the events in the story of the Gospels predate the events in uh, War of the Jews by exactly 40 years, sometimes to the hour. And we're talking about many, many, many different events, like dozens of them. Um, so it becomes very conclusive that the Romans are the true authors of the New Testament. But it's it should be, you should have figured it out already, though, because the circumstantial evidence is so strong. Of course, the Romans, wrote the Gospels. They created a bunch of religions in the first century, and they were masters of psychological warfare. They had every motive to do what they did, and they were the only people who had the resources, the opportunity, the access to actually write the Gospels and get them distributed, published, and you know, out there and uncensored. So the Romans were really the only people who even could have written the New Testament, in particular the Gospels. Now, this author here argues that Paul's epistles are still um, written by Paul, or and they believe that Paul was a spy for the Romans. That Paul was an intelligence agent for the Romans. I believe that Paul is an intelligence agent for the Romans who never actually lived. He was just another fiction in the story, just like Jesus was, in order to mellow out the Jews and to um, preach obedience to Rome, acceptance of slavery, and the denigration of the Jewish rituals and traditions, all of which were obviously Roman motives. Okay, well, I think we read about half a page there. Like, share, subscribe, comment, contribute, come back tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in today, and have a great day.